What's up, subscribers? Sunjutsu here, and today I wanted to go ahead and talk about Wood Elves and why they are not in the release of Total War Warhammer at launch, and how they could be released in the future. My opinions, anyway. So the Wood Elves themselves are descendants of the High Elves. They are basically colonists that have been left behind in the old world after a war between the elves and the dwarves called the War of the Beard. Now, these elves were left in the forest of Athel Loren and became the wood elves that we know today. And these wood elves themselves use the power of their warriors plus the power of the forest itself, the Athel Loren forest, to fight off invaders, to fight off beastmen, to fight off Skaven, and to fight off anybody that invades their territories. Now, this faction hasn't been announced or talked about at all, and in my opinion is that not for the reason that they weren't introduced. I feel like the reason they weren't introduced probably was because they either they had put all the resources into working on the other factions and the other game that they couldn't really put in this faction. They just intentionally didn't want to put it in because they knew that an elf faction would be a hot ticket later on for a DLC, which is a sad note, or that the faction itself maybe was too hard to create or to make or they haven't come up with a concept for it yet. So I want to go ahead and throw an idea for a concept for the way they could portray this faction. And because I thought it was kind of weird selling this game. I mean, when it comes to a fantasy style game, elves are cream of the crop when it comes to a fantasy style setting. They're always in a fantasy game. They're even in sci-fi sometimes. I mean, if you want to look at what's it called, like any other sci-fi universes that have some variation of elf, like the dark elves from Thor, the Vulcan-ish from Star Trek, they're everywhere. And so it's kind of weird that they would have this game. They'd have chaos, which I mean wasn't announced initially, but they have vampire counts. This is okay. So we have chaos, great seller for this game, but again, it's a pre-order seller because they have it as a pre-order. They have the vampire counts, great seller, amazing, very unique faction. Not many factions like these exist in fantasy style games. Dwarves, yes, everyone loves dwarves. Dwarves is almost as iconic as the elves, I would say. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know. I think the elves still take the cake. Greenskins, orcs. People like orcs. I mean, they were the main protagonists, antagonists in Lord of the Rings. They are, I mean, you could say that they're antagonists in this, but again, it's from different points of view. And then you have the Empire. Yes, you got to have the one human faction. I mean, it's the main faction in the world. I mean, I would say it's probably one of the biggest superpowers in this world of Warhammer. So, and plus the players who are used to older Total War games, yeah, they're gonna want to play. I mean, if they want to just dive in and kind of get used to the game, they'll dive into the Empire first because they're very used to that. So you have the Empire. I'm surprised that the Wood Elves wouldn't make the cut as even just like a horde faction, and not even a horde faction. So let me go ahead and jump right in. This is not going to be a very, very long video. I just want to go ahead and give my 2 cents on the way the Wood Elves should be portrayed. Now, the Wood Elves themselves, they stay in the forest of Athel Loren. The forest of Athel Loren is in the game. It's in the map. It's somewhere around the, I would say, eastern edge of Britonia, around there. And so the forest is in the game. So the forest, definitely this faction is going to come at some point. More than likely 100% as a DLC. Not a free DLC, I don't think. But the best way to have this faction represented, for one, definitely have it be, unlike the Beastmen, definitely have this faction be a faction that you can play. Now, their characteristics, I feel like this faction should have dual characteristics. And what do I mean by dual characteristics? It should have the characteristic as a steady state and a characteristic as a horde. Now, when I say that, I mean that I feel like this faction itself should be able to be in have the forest of Athel Loren be its home. Okay, there's that. and have some like different types of little tiny settlements inside the forest. That way it can, you know, it can be different areas. It's just not one whole area that you take. Have the faction itself, the this unit stacks, not be limited to just having one area, which is the forest. By that I mean that, just like horde factions, you can make multiple stacks. Have it be that you can make multiple stacks to leave the forest. Have it be so the wood elves can't take cities, but can only raise cities, can loot, can burn. I mean, I don't like that kind of train of thought. For me personally, I would like them to be able to take over cities. But following in the vein of Warhammer the way it is right now and the limitations that it puts on certain factions, I feel like, in my opinion, I don't know, you guys can think I'm wrong, but it would make sense for them to not be able to capture other settlements, but be able to raid and go out and destroy settlements. They should be able to get multiple bonus points for killing Beastmen, for killing Skaven, for killing Greenskins. If an attacker or enemy... Oh, and they should be able to make little tiny encampments outside of the forest of Athel Loren. That way, like just like the horde factions, like so it's like similar to that. Like it's like little cities around their area. So it has dual capabilities as both a horde faction and a city state. They should have, if they become attacked in the forest, then have it be the environment itself in the battle maps. Have the environment itself be able to help out the wood elves in certain ways. Have the trees be able to help out this and that. I mean, just going into it, it shows, it hints at why CA reframed for making this faction at the beginning, and maybe wanting to put more work into it later on. Because I think that the forest defending the wood elves, the forest defending itself, would be a perfect feature to have for the wood elf faction. Very unique feature. And why would the Empire, why would the Skaven, why would the Greenskins, why would the Beastmen, well, maybe not the Beastmen, but why would the others attack Athel Loren, knowing that they would be on a very bad home field advantage? Because on any battle map that they would fight inside the forest, they would be at a great disadvantage because the terrain would fight for the wood elves. And you can have that be any way you want, whether you want the Winds of Magic to be centralized there for only the wood elves, or whatever you want to be, and then the wood elves, the druids have cast spells on the forest, whatever it might be. But why would they want to attack? Because of quest chains. I mean, with Warhammer, we have the first time where it's very close to MMORPG, where you can have these quests, you can level up your characters, things like this. And so if you have different characters that need certain relics, certain items, certain quest lines that go into the forest and make them having to go and capture something, kill somebody, take something, mine something, whatever it might be, then that would be a good incentive for you to send your army there and send the army in there and take what you need. And that's my thought about that. That's why I would think that people would attack that forest. I mean, granted, the forest itself really mainly is meant for or is preferable for the wood elves to live in. So why would you take that territory? Just to have it, I guess, so the wood elves can have it. I mean, they should be able to take the territory, I feel like. But if you want to go more into, whatever, if they take the territory, then it should be like the same thing as the as when we saw the Greenskins take over the Dwarven hold, where it kind of changes the look of the town and stuff like that, making it look more like if the Empire took it, it makes it look like more of like a castle-style outpost or something like that. I don't know, something like that, guys. But those are my thoughts on the Wood Elves. I definitely want to see them. I 100% know we're going to see them, whether it's going to be in a DLC or in an expansion. They're going to come. I don't know exactly how they're going to make them, but these are my thoughts on how I would make them. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about these Wood Elves. If you have any more information about them, if I got anything wrong, let me know in the comment section below. Or if you have any ideas on how they should be represented in the game, put in the comment section below. Let me know. Let's see if we can get over 50 likes for these Wood Elves, because they are awesome and they are iconic, and I hope to see them in the game. And as always, guys, if you like what you see here and you'd like to see more of my videos, faction videos, topic videos, top 5, this and that, go go ahead and hit that subscribe button and become a subscriber today. This is going to be Sunjetsu signing off. What's up, subscribers? Sunjetsu here, and today I wanted to go ahead and talk about wood elves and why these wood elves themselves use the power of their warriors plus the power of the forest itself, the Athel Loren forest, to fight off invaders, to fight off beastmen, to fight off Skaven, and to fight off anybody that invades in the old world. After a war between the elves and the dwarves called the War of the Beard. Now, these elves were left in the forest of Athel Loren and became the wood elves that we know today and their territories. Now, this faction hasn't been announced or talked about at all. And in my opinion is that not for the reason that they weren't introduced. I feel like the reason they weren't introduced probably was because they are not in the release of Total War Warhammer at launch, and how they could be released in the future, my opinions anyway. So the wood elves themselves are descendants of the high elves. They are basically colonists that have been left behind